Now at 5, a local accounting firm discusses tax changes that could save you money this year. Plus, the Gordon Parks Museum hosts its Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration after it was postponed because of the weather. And
congressional leaders meet with President Biden, looking for a border deal and more aid to Ukraine and Israel. I'm Skyler Henry on Capitol Hill with the high-stakes talks just days before a looming government shutdown.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
as tax season inches closer, credits for residential energy are available in Kansas. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The federal government is encouraging everyone to improve home energy by offering a tax credit. Credit for improving home insulation ranges from $250 to $2,000. The credit applies only to improvements made during the year that's filed, meaning the work had to be done in 2023.
For example, if you're able to take a $2,000 credit for insulating your home, that's $2,000 less in taxes that you'll have to pay in the year. So that can be pretty substantial for some people.
Right now, the IRS says it'll officially begin accepting 2023 tax returns on January 29th. Residents of Fort Scott were invited to Fort Scott Community College today to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The event, which was supposed to take place on Monday, was delayed due to weather. Residents were encouraged to participate in a food drive for the community. Everyone who came was treated to a free lunch. Then they were invited to listen to a musical performance.
If you don't learn, you stop growing. So you have to learn and open up and learn new things. And each year I learn how much that Martin Luther King has affected everybody from all walks of life, from all ages too as well.
The college has hosted this event for 12 years. Bit warmer out there today. Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, finally, for the first time in almost 6 days, we got above freezing across the region, but the winds, of course, made it feel cold, but really a melting snow fest today. 34 in Joplin, 35 is where we sit in Pittsburgh, 34 in Carthage, 36 at Grand Lake. Chanute is sitting at 34 degrees, but we have these strong southerly winds, so it doesn't make it feel as warm as it actually is, but at least we are warming up. Look at these south winds at about 10 to 15. So this gives us even a wind chill across the region, sitting right around 20. And these are going to start to drop as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. So we are going to have those lower wind chills across the region. But we have pretty much clear skies. We'll get some clouds rolling in later on tonight. Arctic air is going to return. We're going to talk about that here in just a bit.
See you soon. Joplin police are just now releasing information about a crash that happened last week, killing a pedestrian. Happened last Thursday at the intersection of East 32nd Street and South Finley Avenue. Police say a vehicle traveling west on 32nd Street hit a pedestrian crossing the street. That pedestrian, 59-year-old William Heskett III of Joplin, died of his injuries on Sunday. This marks the second fatal vehicle pedestrian crash of the year in Joplin. White House and Senate negotiators say they're making progress on a spending bill to address border security as well as aid for Ukraine and Israel. It comes as the federal government is set for a partial shutdown this week unless Congress acts first to keep it open. Skyler Henry has more details from Capitol Hill.
Congressional leaders made the trek up Pennsylvania Avenue in the nation's capital to meet with President Biden and discuss the spending bill being debated on Capitol Hill.
Mr. Speaker, what do you expect to get out of this meeting at the end of the day? Results.
President Biden wants to combine aid for Ukraine and Israel as part of the broader spending package.
President Biden will reinforce something I've been saying all along. It's a matter of the highest national urgency that both parties keep working together to pass the supplemental.
But House Republicans remain reluctant to send more money to Kyiv.
What is the end game and the strategy in Ukraine? How will we have accountability for the funds? We need to know that Ukraine would not be another Afghanistan. But before we even talk about Ukraine, I'm going to tell the president what I'm telling all of you, and we've told the American people: border, border, border.
White House and Senate negotiators say border security is a part of the ongoing talks.
Negotiators are making headway toward the most significant border enhancements in almost 30 years.
Before Congress can tackle the big issues in the long term, they must first pass a short-term bill to avoid a federal government shutdown, which is set to begin midnight Friday night.
Will you support the CR?
No. Secure the border, we can discuss funding.
Some House Republicans say they will vote against the short-term bill, known as a continuing resolution, meaning Democrats and moderate Republicans will need to work together.
It's clear that a very substantial majority does not want to shut down the government. It's also clear that I think all of our Democratic colleagues essentially don't want to shut down the government. So I think it's very unlikely we'll shut down the government.
The Senate is planning to vote on the short-term bill Thursday. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's going to introduce a motion to oust Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House if he includes more funding for Ukraine as part of a bigger spending bill. The race for the Republican presidential nomination is now focused on New Hampshire. All three GOP candidates are in the Granite State today ahead of next Tuesday's pivotal primary. Polls showed Trump ahead, but not by nearly as much as in Iowa. Nikki Haley is polling a close second. Still ahead, a deadly disease on the rise.
I'm Michael George with a troubling new report from the American Cancer Society that finds colon and breast cancer are on the rise in young people.
Plus, what a new study shows about how e-cigarettes can benefit pregnant smokers. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, a new report from the American Cancer Society finds a concerning rise in cancer deaths for people under age 50. Reporter Michael George has more.
It's been nearly 10 years since Diane Nathaniel learned she had stage 3 colorectal cancer. She says she was misdiagnosed for years.
I complained of constipation, and I was always told I was anemic, so given iron pills, kind of dismissive. I complained of migraines, a weight loss.
Eventually, she suffered rectal bleeding. A colonoscopy found a more than 5-centimeter mass. She was just 44 years old.
I was terrified, also knowing that I had 3 children, I had a husband, a whole life ahead of me.
Colorectal cancer is now the leading cause of cancer death in men under 50 and second for women in the same age group, according to the American Cancer Society.
All we really know is it has to be broadly in something environmental. When we see this cohort effect, it's not inherited genetic mutations or something else that's part of the germline. This has to be some sort of exposure or diet change.
Prevention is key. The American Cancer Society recommends starting colorectal screening at age 45.
The percentage of folks who actually undergo screening under the age of 50 remains low. Increasing screening rates, I think, would be incredibly important.
Overall, cancer mortality continues to decline, but that progress is being threatened by a rise in diagnoses of common cancers such as breast and prostate. Diane needed surgery and a dozen rounds of chemotherapy. She now shares her story to educate others and help reduce disparities in healthcare.
So for 10 years, I had been complaining since I was 34, and I just felt like no one really listened. And as a Black woman, these are things that we deal with.
She says, advocate for yourself and go get screened. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Now, the American Cancer Society points out that screening guidelines are for people at average risk. It's typically recommended to begin screening 10 years earlier than the age when an immediate family member receives a cancer diagnosis. A new study finds e-cigarettes help pregnant smokers quit without risks to the pregnancy. Researchers at Queen Mary University of London concluded the regular use of nicotine replacement products during pregnancy was not associated with poor outcomes. The lead researcher says health risks to babies in the womb from smoking seem to be caused by other chemicals in tobacco smoke rather than nicotine. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we're going to talk about how cold affects the dog's smell.
And it's briefly warmer, but it's not going to last for long. Details coming up. Well, of course, a warmer day for us today as we did get into the mid-30s for highs. We finally got above freezing, but still about 10 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year. Quite a bit of sunshine, did a little bit of a melt fest for us today. Looks good right now. Nice shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Indigo, just southwest of Seneca, Missouri. All right, look at the temps. It's warmer. It's still cold. It's 36 Bonita, Pittsburgh 35, 35 in Anderson. Carthage is sitting at 34. Now, the winds kind of make it feel a little rawer than what it actually is. We have those south winds at about 10 to 15. Then at times we've been getting gusts, which have been kind of 20, 25 miles per hour. These are going to stay up as we go through the evening hours, but eventually start to calm down a little bit later on tonight. In fact, let's look at our future wind gusts. So by 6 a.m., yeah, it's still breezy out there, 5 to 10 to 15, but not as bad as what we are seeing right now. The wind's not as bad tomorrow, westerly winds at about 10 to 20, but then they really get moving again tomorrow night into Friday morning as our next little surge of Arctic air starts to push into the region. So due to the wind, the way it actually feels to your skin, even though we're in the mid 30s, feels like mid 20s, and our wind chill factors tonight will drop near 10 degrees by morning, which is a lot better than what we have been. Wind chills will kind of warm up to near 30 by the time we head into Thursday. But check this out, our wind chill factors down to about minus 10 to minus 15 again by the time we head into Friday, and then hover 0 to 5 on Friday afternoon. So those are going to start to go back down just a bit. If you're going to be out this evening, clouds increase late. We slide back through the 20s, overnight low, right around 21 degrees. We have clear skies now, but some clouds increasing northern counties. We're going to see mostly cloudy skies tonight. May get a flurry or two late tonight. And then here's that second surge that is going to give us the second round of Arctic air. But you can see the Arctic air is retreated to the north. And then once that wave kicks in, the Arctic air will surge back toward the south as we go into Friday. All right, for you tonight, a lot of clouds, maybe a flurry. Overnight low right around 21, 22. Partly sunny skies on your Thursday, mid 30s by noon. Most of us upper 30s to near 40. Pretty good day for us tomorrow. Tomorrow night, with that surge of colder air, we may get a few flurries, a couple little light snow showers, especially our northern counties. But temperatures drop to about 8 on Friday morning. And then Friday afternoon, even with sunshine, we only warm to 17, 18, 19 degrees. And then as we go into Saturday morning, our overnight lows back down near 0. So yes, today's better. Yes, tomorrow temperatures are pretty good. Unfortunately, we're going to cool back down a bit on Friday and Saturday. It's short-lived, 39 tomorrow, 19 on Friday, down to 3 Saturday morning, 21 on Saturday. Back to 35 on Sunday. Now, we may get around to freezing rain Sunday night into Monday morning. We'll talk more about that tonight at 6. That could cause a few issues on the roadways.
Obviously, we'll have to keep a close eye on that. The temperatures won't be so low that maybe if we do get that, it won't last long.
Correct.
Thanks, Doug. Some students in Arma, Kansas today learned about the importance of traffic safety from that woman, Miss Kansas. She stopped by to teach them a lesson or two. Miss Kansas, Courtney Wages, is partnering with the Kansas Traffic Safety Resource Office for its SAFE campaign. Today, the campaign taught students at Northeast High School how they can protect themselves while on the road.
So personally, I talk about my platform, which is called One Vision is Not the Only Vision, advocating for vision awareness in blind and visually impaired communities, and how a car crash can result in a disability such as vision awareness and result in many other tragedies that we don't want to happen in Kansas.
The SAFE program stands for Seatbelts Are for Everyone. Coming up, how the nation's top auto safety agency has failed to improve the safety of seat backs in vehicles. Topping today's Consumer Watch, in recent years, Congress has ordered federal regulators to improve safety standards of front seats in vehicles to prevent injuries when they fall back during crashes. But as Chris Van Cleve reports, the top auto safety agency has failed to do it, putting even more children at risk.
Taylor Warner was just 16 months old when the family minivan was rear-ended. The force of the crash caused her father's seat to collapse backwards, similar to this crash test, colliding with Taylor, killing her, despite being strapped in her car seat.
I didn't want my daughter to die in vain, and I'm going to go to the end of the earth to make sure that this is taken care of.
November marked 13 years since the accident. Andy and Liz Warner hoped that heart-wrenching anniversary would finally come with some relief. A new regulation making vehicle seats stronger, but the nation's top auto safety regulator missed its congressionally mandated deadline.
As a mom, it just makes me angry. Every day I put my kids in the car and I worry to this day because you don't know, it could happen again.
We found crash test after crash test after crash test showing what can happen when a seat collapses. But every single one met or exceeded the federal strength standard dating to 1967. And so does a banquet chair.
200.
Safety advocates estimate nearly one child a week dies in this kind of crash.
I'm going to turn up the heat on NHTSA.
Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey led the effort in Congress, passing legislation as part of the 2021 bipartisan infrastructure bill, giving the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration 2 years to draft a new strength standard.
Why is it this hard to get something done up here?
It shouldn't be hard. This is actually very simple. We're not trying to put somebody on a mission to Mars. We're just trying to make sure kids in the back seat are protected.
NHTSA says it's proceeding as expeditiously as possible and plans to publish a proposed new seatback regulation in the coming months, according to this letter sent to Senator Markey days before Christmas and obtained by CBS News. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Every week that goes by, safety experts believe another child loses their life. Why can't this get done faster?
NHTSA has to make tough choices every day because literally everything they do involves life safety. They have limited resources to deal with dozens of overlapping requirements and mandates.
But for the Warners,
it needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed now.
Each day they wait is another reminder of a life cut short 13 years ago and countless more that could be saved. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Washington.
Our pet vet on call next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, how teenagers are now being targeted sexually and financially online. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on tax changes you need to be aware of before filing. Plus, some local football standouts commit to play at the college level. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. These cold temperatures make a lot of tasks more difficult for us humans, but what's the impact on pets? Today's question for our pet vet on call: do cold temperatures affect a dog's sense of smell?
Yes, they do, but it's not the ability of the dog to smell. It's what the cold does to the actual odor. It slows the molecules down, everything falls down low. It can get buried by snow and ice. That makes it hard for dogs to detect the smell. It makes it hard for almost every dog except the bloodhound. They can sniff out anything.
Hey, we invite questions from anyone. If you have a question, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pout Hospital answers a different question or brings us a fun fact every Wednesday on KOAM News at 5. You can also find previous answers to questions on our website. All right, let's check out our picks of the litter for the week. From the Joplin Humane Society, we have Beans, a male shepherd puppy. And from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, we have a male Labrador Retriever. This is Soap. It's a 1-year-old male who loves to play and go on adventures. If you're looking for a pet, maybe Beans, maybe Soap, why not check out your local Humane Society?
Yeah, and those pets, they like to be warm as well, so don't forget about them, especially with our cold overnight lows. All right, so tomorrow back near 40, which is pretty good. Then the Arctic air rushes back in, 8 tomorrow night, 19 for a high on Friday. It's going to be windy, so low wind chills all day long, and then a slow warming trend as we get into next week.
39 tomorrow. Sounds
pretty good.
Pretty nice for sure. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.